see if I can get this out there for everyone. Let everyone know that I'm live. Here we go. All right, and we'll push this out there. Okay, so we're going good here now. So this is going to be, yeah, I might as well just talk about why I'm going live today. I want to do it sometime this week, and this started as a conversation between myself. Actually, it was a conversation that was started by Timo. He mentioned about failure in business and how you need to be willing to sort of accept failure. The conversation started where he said, and I think the quote comes from Shark Tank, where he said, if you run a business for a certain amount of time and it's unsuccessful, basically it's like running an expensive hobby. And I kind of made a comment on that about agreeing with him, and about an example where I had to accept failure in my own business. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and kind of sort of jump into the story. It's really just a story. I'm hoping it kind of inspires people and lets them see that failure is not the end. Failure can definitely be, a good learning experience and almost sort of the beginning, if you will. Basically, back in 2007, we'll start there. The wife and I went to a delayed honeymoon here in Australia. It was partly about the honeymoon, of course, and the other part was she had always wanted to live here. So I told her, I moved to Texas sight unseen, but that's because it was in the U.S. I'm not going to a foreign country sight unseen. We have to go visit first before I decide. So we did. And I'm telling you, we were here for 3 weeks, and within the first week, I just absolutely loved it. I'm not an impulsive person, but I told her. I remember we were sitting at a bus station waiting to get our bus back to our hotel, and I told her, I want to live here. I want to stay here. What would it take for me to stay here, for you to go back home and just close everything up we need in the States and move over here? She's like, Brandon, snap out of it. She goes, you know how much work is involved in getting to another country? She's right. There's a ton of work involved. Ton of different documentation and all that stuff. She snapped me back into reality real quick, which was nice. But I'm telling that story because basically what happened, we come back to the States, renewed, refreshed, had a good honeymoon and all that. She had to finish out her school, which is another reason. She's like, I got to finish my school still. So she wanted to finish her school by 2010. So she did that. About 2010, I started looking at, getting things ready, getting some of the documentation ready that needed to happen. And that's when she said, well, you know what? We started looking into different visas that we could have to come over here. And she said, well, you know what? There's a visa that you can get where you take a business over there. So basically, if we started a business over here, we could take it over to Australia with us. And so I said, sure, let's give it a try. She's like, I always wanted to shop my own anyways. At the time, we were both really serious, and we still are healthy people. We still do exercise and keep fit and all that. But we were really at that time into working out and into bodybuilding. And well, me into bodybuilding, her really into just being serious about working out. And she had a trainer at the same gym that I was at, and we were both really serious, and we liked that gym. And so we said, we were thinking about starting it somewhere in Texas, but that gym's pretty popular in Texas. It's a franchise. It's pretty popular in Texas. Every major city had one. And so we're going, well, what do we want to do? Hang on, I'm gonna take a drink here. So she's like, we need to find somewhere else where we think it'd be successful, but they just don't have a location yet. So she said to me, she said, if you could move anywhere, where would you move? And I said, well, I've always wanted to live near the coast, which is what I do live here now in Australia. I always wanted to live near the coast, so it would either be California or Florida. She's like, well, which one? I said, well, why don't we just let uh, the jobs dictate it? I'll put in a job. I'll put in look for jobs in California and look for jobs in Florida. Whoever I hear back from first, that's where we go to. So that's how it worked. Put in offers there in California, over in Florida. The first ones I heard back were from Florida, um, Jacksonville, and Tampa Bay. Ended up choosing Jacksonville because the one in Tampa Bay was for Dell, which I really didn't want to work for. Dell kind of, especially in Austin, has kind of a bad rap, So yeah, kind of no on the Dell. That's why actually technically the company was like a third party company, but they only worked for Dell, and I still was worried that I'd get the kind of Dell rap on my resume if I worked for them. So I decided to take the one in Jacksonville, Florida. Anyways, so we pretty much hit the ground running, and um, we get started. We contact the people about the franchise. We talk to them about what do we need to do. How much do we need to pay all the money up front? Yes, we did. So we had to come up with a considerable amount of money to buy the franchise. We had to have money. This is a gym, so we had to have money for equipment. We had to have an actual location, all of these kinds of things. And so we went out and just started doing it. We started contacting all kinds of suppliers. We started contacting all kinds of locations, and started looking at commercial locations, and trying to figure out all the different aspects of starting up and running a gym. And we finally got it open. I don't think it took us really that long. I think it was less than 6 months we had the gym open. I remember we opened right around Thanksgiving time in the States. It was close to Thanksgiving. I just remember that. Um, and so we opened up to crickets. I mean, chirp, 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 that was it. And so that was disheartening, but it is what it is. So then we plowed into it. Wife went, she was the one running the gym during the day. I still had to work because we still had to have money coming in. So I would work during the day. During the day, she would monitor the gym. She'd be there. She'd make cold calls. She'd do all that kind of stuff. She'd even set stuff up for me that I'd have to maybe go do after work. And then she'd go home and she'd do the stuff she had to do at home for the next day. And I'd work it until time that we were going to close. And sometimes people would come in late, and I'd stay late and all that. So I was pretty much working pretty hard, working a full-time job plus trying to run the gym on the side. And I loved my gym. I really did. I absolutely loved that gym. I mean, I'd work out in there. It was the gym. If I had chosen a gym to make, that would have been my gym. And I really put the equipment in there that was needed. I put some things in there that weren't things that I would use, but I knew people would want. Because if you've been in gyms enough, you kind of know the equipment that's most expected. You got to have cardio equipment, but you still have to have uh, free weights are great, but you got to have some machines. So we made sure we had some machines there. And I wish I still had those pictures. I've posted some pictures on my profile of a video of a photo shoot that was done there. Unfortunately, that's not me, for anyone who's wondering. I did say that. If you find that, it's way down there in the post by now. But yeah, so we allowed photo shoots there for people, and we did everything we could to try to drum up business and all that stuff. And we always hovered around about 35 members. That's where we started getting a spike, and we started seeing people coming up and up and up, and we're getting a little excited. We're going good, and we knew what our break-even point was. I don't know if I really call that break even. We knew what the point was where we would cover our expenses. We knew where we had to get to make sure that we could cover rent and electricity and water. Those were the three things we had to cover. After that, then we needed more if I wanted to actually work it full time and just quit my job. That was the plan. At least get to that point to where we're covering our expenses, and then really, push some more and get some more people in, get enough people in that basically I can run this thing full time. That was the goal. Didn't happen, unfortunately, but I really, really love the gym. I really, really put my all into it. It taught me a lot about sales, and I had to do a lot of, I had done little sales jobs here and there, but I'd never really done something that would that was for myself, that was for my business. And so this was something that I was really, really passionate about, and I really, really believed in. And I would go out there and I would do a lot of face-to-face sales. Like I said, the wife would do cold calls. She got me into there was a supplement store that would have, like, once a month, they would always have fitness related things in there, and they said you can come in. I came the first time, and they really liked me. They really liked what I said and what I did, and I was there. And they said you can come back anytime. And they said we'll just tell you. So they always told me whenever it was, and I always showed up there, and always uh, did what I could to get out there and meet people, tell people about what we're doing, and all that kind of stuff. Also, every I had a number of days during the week when I would go out and literally just do face to face type stuff, go into businesses, especially businesses around the area, trying to go into business around the area, giving them even a discount to come in, all this stuff. I mean, just pressed and pressed and pressed, and talked to everyone. Always had business cards on me, always tried to steer conversations towards fitness. And um, especially people who, when I would talk about fitness, they started talking about bodybuilding, because that's what we were bodybuilding gym. So I really, when that came up, I really pressed on those people and tried to get them to talk more about it, and to get them excited about what I'm doing, and then tell them where I am, and come see us, come this, come that. Like I said, in the end, we got about 35. We hovered right around about 35 people. And so here's the part of the story where I was trying to get to. I just wanted to lead you up to there. I didn't want you to just kind of drop you off a cliff. So we get there, and we're at about the 6 month mark, and we've been hovering at 35 for a month and a half. And I remember the wife was at home, and we were on the phone, and we're both really frustrated. We're both really upset, things like that. And we're saying, what do we do? Do we keep this going? Do we continue going? Do we continue pushing this? Because we're bleeding money at this point. I mean, I'm basically working, and any money that isn't going to groceries and paying rent on the house, um, is going into the business. It got to a point where we almost considered, because the location we had like office rooms and things like that. We were almost considering, if we were going to stay long term, we were almost considering to not renew our rental, the house we were renting, and just go ahead and stay in the business location, because we could have turned one of the rooms into a bedroom and just stayed there. We were like, who would care? Who really cares? I mean, that's the level of dedication that we had to this, that we really, really wanted to do. And this is how successful we wanted to be. But it came down to it that, I was out there. I would talk to people, and I go up and I talk to people and tell them about what I do, tell them about who we are. And they say, "Oh yeah, I heard of you. I heard of you guys. Yeah, 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 yeah. You guys are this and this and this." And I'm going, so all the work I've been doing isn't for nothing. People know, people know. They're just not coming. They're just not coming. And of course, not being from Jacksonville, I don't think I really understood the way things were until I started a business there. And I'm telling you, if you want to learn how a city is, if you're kind of new to a city and you don't know how the people are, how the mentality there is, how a city is towards things, start a business. Boy, I'm telling you, you'll learn so quick. You'll learn so quick about how a business, how people are in an area, how an area is, how good it is towards business, towards other things, when you do that. Because that's when I realized that, unless in Jacksonville, at least, unless you are going to open up something big, and I mean, like, because I would talk to people, and what they would say to me is, "So how many locations are you going to open?" One. I mean, they must have thought I came there with millions of dollars in my pocket, and I'm going, I can't open multiple locations. I'm going to have one location. But the way people are there is, if it's not within about 5 minutes of where they live, they don't want to come. I mean, it's no joke. They don't want to come. Um, yeah. So it's not that we were all that far away. It's just, it was really difficult to drive people there. And, we were findable. We were definitely findable. We always made sure to put signs to guide people there. We did everything we could to make sure that they could find their way there, because people would always say they couldn't find us. But this is still around the time where Google Maps was available, where maps on your phone was starting to become a normal thing. So it wasn't impossible for people to do. Really, I think a lot of times when I would talk to people and they would and I would catch them a second time and say something, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I meant to come, you guys. I tried." A lot of times they say, "I tried to find you guys, but I could. I tried to come to you guys, but I couldn't find you." Like, but yet the people that wanted to come made it there. The people that wanted to find us made it there. So it's just one of those things. So you start to realize very quickly that this is something that people talked about. They thought it would be a good idea, but it wasn't. And so you're starting to go, this 35 members is not going to, we're about a third of the way where we need to be. We needed to be at about 100 members. Plus we needed to have two. We were lucky. We actually did get a trainer, and he brought in some of those members, by the way. Some of those 35 were his own people. But we needed to have 100 signed up members and three trainers paying for training space. We had one trainer and 35 members. So we were about a third of the way, only about a third of the way to our goal of where we needed to be. So it started to come time to decide what we were going to do. And so we were on the phone with each other. She's at home. We're both pretty frustrated. And so I said, you know what? I don't want to give in just yet. We still get a couple members and then we lose a couple members. It's back and forth. I just want to see if we hold on, maybe we get a couple members, we get a couple more, we get a couple more. If we hold on, maybe we can see it, but let's not hold on too long, because we're basically bleeding money at this point. We don't have any money, and every bit of money we have is going into this venture. And this is where it comes to the post that Timo was talking about. When how long do you wait? How long do you wait until it's something becomes, a business that is no longer viable, becomes just a really expensive hobby? And that's about what the point we were at, because I really loved my gym and I would work out there every day. And I even had a training partner that was one of the members who would sign up to the gym, and me and him would train together. I would even give people free workout routines and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I wasn't charging for it. I had one guy who was even paying me for training, and I charged him pretty cheap, because it was only one. But you eventually got to the point where you had to just go, okay. So we said a month. We said we'll give it a month and we'll see where it is. If we see it, even if we just see a 5-member increase over the next month, then we're going to stay. So we gave ourselves a goal. We set a goal. We said, okay, if here we're bouncing around 35. If within a month's time we're at 40 members and holding strong, then we'll stay. Because we had an accountant. The accountant was going to get us a good amount of money. We could hang on for a little while longer. And we said, okay, well, by the time the accountant finishes with our taxes and all that, and we get our tax break back from starting the business, we're going to have to make a choice. Are we going to take that money and hold on and keep pressing this? Are we going to take that money and are we going to leave Jacksonville and go back to Austin? And a month later, we were still bouncing right at 35. We gained about 3, lose 3, just like this, back and forth. And that's where this talk is about, is we had to make that decision. And that was a tough decision, I got to say that. And I can understand anyone who's looking at a project, at something they're doing, and really, really loves it and has a passion for it, like we did with the gym, and just wants to press every bit. And you should, because if you don't, you will regret it. But I don't regret the decision to close down that gym. And the reason why is I gave it my all. I was out there. I even paid people to go out and advertise. I'd even pay people money to go out and hold signs and try to direct them to where we are. And I mean, just anything to get people in that gym. I did everything I could. Like I said, we were bleeding money, just trying to spend money in any way we could. And we had to make a decision. Do we continue to do this? Do we continue to the point that we have nothing left, to where we just bankrupt ourselves and then we're in some real financial trouble? Or do we pull back and say, let's press the brakes here. This may not be a viable business for this area. And honestly, I don't think it ever was. I'd found out after we opened that there had been another gym like ours. It had closed down. What a shocker. But it had been the same kind of gym. It had been kind of a hardcore gym, even kind of looked like ours. Some people said, wow, this reminds me of that gym. And I went and I said, so what happened to that gym? Oh, it eventually went out of business. It closed down. I'm like, oh. You hear there was one like it, you're like, yeah, all right, yeah, maybe we have a chance, and it went bankrupt. Oh, yeah. So, another thing that probably did it in for us is we had some friends. Well, we had made some friends. There were these people that were really close to the house we were renting, and the husband was. I mean, if I think I'm a hard worker and that I work hard and that I push my business and that I did everything I could, this guy was even more so. I mean, he had 2 businesses, and he was what you would call a serial entrepreneur. He was just always going, and they were from New Jersey. So they had moved there from New Jersey, and they had opened up a pizza shop, and man, it was the best pizza I had ever had. Still to this day, I think it probably was the best pizza I've ever had. And we would go there, yes, yes, we were running a gym, but you can have a cheat day, and that was our cheat day, was going there and having a pizza at their place. Man, that was just it was always fun Friday. Man, that was so good. And we got to be such friends with them. They would kind of take their sweet time in making the food so we could talk for about 30 minutes, and we, chit chat about our weeks and how things were going. And what really crushed us is when they closed down. Man, that was tough. Man, that was tough. But sorry. Yeah. Like I said, going live, it's fun. Anyways, yeah, it crushed us. That crushed us because if they couldn't make it, it was tough for us. So, anyways, after that, I think that kind of gave us a blow, and we were already thinking about leaving. We were already thinking about closing down. So we went ahead and did it. I went ahead and turned in my 2-week notice at my job. Um, Decided we were going to move back to Austin. Uh, the job I was at, I gave my 2-week notice. They let me go that day. Not that I minded too much. I already knew where I was going. I was going back to Austin. I don't know if I'd already gotten the job. I went to work at 3M is where I went to work at, and they needed some software people. They were doing Department of Motor Vehicles work, and ASP.NET, the stuff I already been doing all for quite some time. I hadn't gone into front end. Actually, that was the first job I actually did front end work at. That was where I first started front end. Anyways, so yeah, had to close the business down. Had to. It hurt. It hurt. But I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot about sales. I learned a lot about not giving up, because I was never the kind of person who could walk up to someone and just start selling myself and just start selling not just myself but my business and you know and when the person says and pushes you away, it used to crush me. It used to just hurt me so bad and I was so afraid of that rejection. I was so afraid of that, and having that gym kind of uh, eliminated that fear, because once it happens once, twice, three, six, 10 times, you start to become immune to it, and it kind of just goes, and you go, okay, next, and you just keep going. So, um, yeah, it hurt. It hurt. We lost a good amount of money. We had to move the equipment back to Austin with us, sell it off, pay off a lot of the debt. Um, Even after that, we still had a good amount of debt. We eventually consolidated the debt, and we didn't even pay off that debt entirely until we were over here. Until I actually got a job shortly after we moved here, a second job. I had my full time job, and then I had a job on the side. And that job on the side is what paid off. It did actually paid off more than that. It paid off that debt, and it helped us pay for some stuff when we bought this house here. It had some desperate need of repairs, and so the little bit extra that we had left over after paying off all our debt there went to uh, fixing the roof and a couple other things. So Failure hurts, and it's hard to accept. It's very hard to accept, and it's something that you don't want to do. You don't want to give up. But if it comes between pushing forward with something that is going to just end up bankrupting you and is going to leave you so in such dire straits that you're going to have a hard time even recovering, or backing off and saying, you know what, I know I love this, I know this is a huge passion of mine, but it's not coming through. It's not, you know, it doesn't matter how much harder I push it. It doesn't matter how much harder I try. It's not going to happen. And like I said, this is the difference between, a success, this is where a potential successful business becomes just a very expensive hobby. Had we kept it there, yeah, I would have still kept working out there, and yeah, our couple of members would have kept working out there, but I would have gone bankrupt. I would have ended up bankrupt and probably would have had a harder time recovering. I probably wouldn't have made it back to Austin, or it would have taken some time to make it back to Austin. There wasn't that much tech work in Jacksonville, so it was a good thing to get back to Austin to where I had more opportunities. Um, even when the job at 3M ended, they even let me work some overtime because they wanted some extra work. So while I was starting my new job, they were letting me do some more work on the side. So it just sort of worked out. Things worked out. Things started getting a little bit better. We started being able to recover a little bit. We eventually came over here, did the stuff over here. But when I got back to Austin, after 3M, trying to think, no, it was after the job after 3M, I started my own thing, which would have been, yeah, it would have been about 20, probably about 10 years ago. It would have been about 2013, 2014, somewhere in there. I started my own thing. And I've been slowly growing it ever since and started doing some C2C stuff. The last thing I did before I left the States is I actually had a proper corp to corp client that I got on my own. I was posting, I was doing kind of what I'm doing here. I was posting stuff online and just talking about the things I know and the things I do. And next thing you know, someone hits me up, "Hey, Brandon, do you want to come work for us?" Yeah. It's out in Tennessee. So I had got to Tennessee for a week, but then I got to work fully remote. Having that job let us come over here because I didn't have to take a week off. I was fully remote, so I could actually work from over here. I just had to work the time zone they wanted to. So I was I was kind of what I'm doing almost now. I was doing my stuff during the day, but I would work at night over there. I'd start about 11 o'clock at night and work till about 7 in the morning, and then I'd crash. We'd do the stuff we needed to in the morning, and then I'd rest before work. And so, yeah, it's just, as things got better. It's helped me learn when I was trying to expand the business and trying to get more business. That that experience with sales and not being afraid to make that call really, really came to my advantage when I was making cold calls, and I was just picking up and picking up. And uh, most of these businesses, they have ways of trying to stop you from getting to them, but you just have to be tenacious and keep going and going and going. And that's what I would do. And I'd call and I'd say, "Oh, can I talk to so and so?" I'd find out who the connections were over there. "Who can I talk to? So and so." "Yeah, yeah, sure." I'll take a message for him, and I'd call back and I'd call back and I'd call back till I get a voicemail, and I'd hit the voicemail and I'd call back and I'd call back. It's that kind of tenacity that it taught me. So yeah, it hurt, but it made me more tenacious. It made me more. It helped me to drive more and to push more. And that's why the business, even though technically I closed the business down in the States, I brought it over here. So that's why I closed in the States, because originally I was going to try to keep it, but that's another live stream about taxes and the IRS. I could talk at length for that one, with that one too. That was a nightmare. But yeah, yeah, technically I closed in the States, but the business still survives. It survives over here. And that's what I'm doing here now. And that's what I'm trying to do here with what I'm doing on X, with what I'm doing on all the different platforms I'm on, where I'm talking about what I'm doing and all those things. That one failure kickstarted where I am today and made me more tenacious, made me more, um, gave me a drive to keep going, to push harder, and that's what I want to get through, is that sometimes failures are the greatest learning experiences, and sometimes failures will eventually lead you to success. And that's what, and I do say that in a lot of my posts. I do tell people to push forward and to push on and this and that. And yeah, I don't think you should just give up as soon as things get hard. We didn't give up when things got hard. We had to wait until it got to that point where we knew there was nothing that was going to happen, where we knew that no matter how hard we tried, we were not going to get beyond the members we had. And we knew that that wasn't going to be enough to keep us afloat. So, we didn't just give up at the first sign of trouble. We pushed and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed until there just wasn't anything left to push for. We accepted the loss. As you can tell, I still haven't fully accepted the loss, but we accepted the loss as best we could, took our learnings from it, and moved on. And now, I'm still running the company. I'm trying to build it. I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to do things with it. I'm trying to, you know, show what I know here so that people can see that this is something that I'm very passionate about and something I love doing. And that's pretty much it. I hope this story helps everyone. Um, I really do. And I thank anyone who stayed on and watched. I hope they learned something. I hope maybe they got a little inspired. Um, maybe it helps you. Maybe it helps you through a time where you're hitting hard in a business, and maybe you're wondering about that. Maybe you're wondering, will I ever survive? And that actually was something we wondered when we closed that business. Will we ever survive and come back from this? And you will. You will. It might take time, but you will. You will survive and come back from it. And hopefully you come back stronger, because now you know what you need to do. Now, take those learnings from those failures and turn them into successes. And that's why when you see me post about these things, these aren't just things I'm posting platitudes. I'm not just posting platitudes that I read in some book, or that I read on some website, or that I heard someone else say, or something like that. These come from inside. These are things that I personally experienced, and the things that I post come from that kind of a place. They come from somewhere real. And that's what I want you guys to hear from me. And that's why I wanted to say this, because I think there's probably, I'm sure at any time there's probably someone that's suffering through that very thing and is wondering, what am I going to do? How am I going to survive this? And trust me, you will. And like I said, I hope it helps people. um, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream, because I'll just sit here and ramble forever if I don't, guys. So hopefully we will see you guys later. Talk to me, hit me up on X, on any of the other platforms this is streaming on, LinkedIn, anywhere else where the stream being